You talking about like rookie? I'm rookie. I mean, I literally lined up against a couple people in testing, but I knew how to race. I've been down the track. I knew how to the games and stuff like that. I was mentally strong there. And then we go up to our first race of the year. We qualify number one. Fourth race in, we win it. So
wow,
it was one of those fairy tale stories that you're like, wow, like your first race out, you qualify number one. 4 races in, you win. So it was
unbelievable
awesome.
story. Unbelievable story.
Yeah. The crew chief will come and put the finger in front of your windshield and signal you forward for you to go forward. And when they do that, you know it's time to go to war. And once they do that, I literally go like this. I literally flap my shield down, my visor down, and I don't just put it down gently. I slap it. I go bam, and that means I'm going to war. The battle's about to start. It's kind of like a boxer back in the day when Mike Tyson was in his heyday. They wanted to take him out, but are they really sane going against a monster like that knocked people out in 30 seconds? You get what I mean? But
yeah.
When they go in gladiator mode, they don't think that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't think it until you step on the gas pedal. Because when we step on the gas pedal, you just got hit by Tyson taking off the starting line. You know what I mean? Hey, this is Antron Brown, 3-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion. And this is Cars and Culture with Jason Stein.
Some might say he's one of the fastest men on earth. And isn't that fun to get together with a guy who's as quick as lightning and who's just come off a very, very fast weekend against a childhood hero. Antron, what a pleasure to have you on the program.
Yeah, Jason, my pleasure, my man. I tell you what, listening to all your shows is an honor to be on. And I definitely want to be a part of this culture, man. This is something I grew up around, loving it, from the street to the strip to the road course to the circle track and to the dirt tracks. And man, I tell you what, it was it was quite a race this last weekend, race against Tony Stewart. It was pretty amazing to be out there with him, and me and him go way, 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 way back.
Yeah, well, you go back so far, Antron. He's a hero of yours when he was running NASCAR and IndyCar. I mean, you know all about him. And then you're up against him as Tony, who's like a chameleon. He changes all the time, right? Now, all of a sudden, he's going head to head. I mean, that must have been just an absolute trip for you.
Well, when you see somebody like Tony come out into our sport, NHRA drag racing, I've been watching from afar and everything. Like when I was coming up racing, before I got into four wheels, I was racing motorcycles. And we have a little history together. I mean, like he's not that much older than me. And I remember distinctly where he was racing like sprint cars, wing sprints, and all that stuff. And he's going from the dirt track and he was coming into the sport. And then he was one of the ones to do the double, do the double duty on one weekend where he raced IndyCar and raced NASCAR, but did well at both. And man, he's just a terror on the racetrack because he's a true competitor. And he's somebody that I always wanted to emulate because he just didn't do stuff to do it. He did it to win. And that's the kind of pedigree that I am, is that no matter what I do, I'm so competitive that I'm coming out to win. I'm not coming out there to be out there. I'm not trying to come out there to be out there. I want to come and I want to put my best foot forward. And all I ask is for a chance to win and let my skills speak for themselves. So that's why I always looked at the Tony Stewart, because that's what he does. That's exactly what he does.
Yeah, and you did that. You put your skills out there and you beat him. He was a first time, and it was the final round of the 36th annual Denso NHRA Sonoma Nationals. Sonoma, such a special place for so many, but particularly for you. You describe it as a piece of heaven out there.
Oh, absolutely. It's when you go out there, if you just see the atmosphere that's out there, you can just go up there to the rolling hills and just the weather, like in the morning, it's brisk. You got the marine layer that comes in from the bay, And then in the afternoon, the sun comes out and it burns it off, and it's so bright and sunny and beautiful. And you have the golden grass because it's dry this time of year because it's summertime. It's not green, and it's just so beautiful. And when you take a deep breath of air, it's just so fresh and so clean, and it energizes you. And when you go out there, you're right in the middle of wine country, and we have our great folks out there that we get to hang out there with Natalie and Vinny from Russian River. It's just when you go out there, the food, the culture, and the people come out and support. There's a huge motorsport following out there in the north, in basically the North California area,
Yeah.
and it's just when you go out there, you're in awe because you're getting sensory overload, but yet you're relaxed, your mind is focused, and you got energy, and it's so intense out there when you get out there where you see all the competitors that come out there and play. They're not coming out there to play, they're coming out there to win. And to go out there and see everybody at their best and you're competing at your best and to come out there with a win is something very, very special.
There's a culture to Sonoma, isn't there? It's got its own.
Oh,
I mean, this is cars and culture, but there could be Sonoma and culture. You could do a whole show on that.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you got everybody that has their own little signature deal. You know what I mean? Like you got people from the two-wheel culture that rides up on bikes where they have their own parking and they park all alongside the hill and it goes all the way up the hill.
Yeah.
Then you got the people that come in with their classic like retro rods, like your old school cars that got the new modern LS style engines in them. Then you go to the people that's just got the old school stuff. You know what I mean? Just old school stuff that doesn't rust and nothing like out there. And they're coming out there with their clean cut cars. And then you have the exotic car culture that's coming out there with the Ferraris, like Lambos and McLarens and stuff like that. And, the rear engine vets. And you got every aspect of life of just any kind of culture, and you got the low riders that people bring out there. I mean, everything the coolest part when you go to Sonoma, you see so much diverse car culture. It's ridiculous. Like any flavor you like, you'll see out there. To
Yeah.
to our
Amazing.
hot rods, plain and simple.
You having the time of your life at this point?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm really enjoying myself now. It's like with all the stuff that we have going on from how our sport is kind of like is really amping up. It's got a lot of synergy, a lot of nuances coming in, from like Tony Stewart coming in, and you've got all these smaller teams that are coming in, growing the sport, elevating the sport. The Play NHRA, where you can actually gamble in our sport, all that stuff coming in. You get a lot of new eyes and new people. Like we've got people we've never even seen in our sport showing up that's learning about it, and they're like, "Hey, this is our first time coming. This is the best time we ever had in our entire life." I'm like, "What?" And that to me is like a breath of fresh air where you see new people coming into the sport, bringing new energy and synergy, learning about it, and it's really making our NHRA drag racing new part of the family coming in where it's opened up to lifestyle brands and lifestyle people. And it's been pretty cool to see all these different people coming in and also the different partners and partnerships that are coming in. And I've been seeing it firsthand because they're walking up where we got a lot of new partners with ABM and just seeing how we're just growing and we're growing leaps and bounds in such a short amount of time. And the TV's definitely taken off and bringing the stories of all the different drivers in our sport.
It's a dawn of a new era for NHRA to some extent. I mean, you just described it. And, when I was growing up, drag racing, it certainly had its share of heroes and well-known names and, Shirley and John and, names like that. But it's really broadened to a whole new level. I mean, not to mention, obviously, the example of Tony, but could you have imagined that the sport would take on the appeal that it has now? And why is that happening?
I think I think what's happening in our sport for so many years has always been there. It was big in the 80s and the 90s. You know what I mean? Where you had the big Miller, Budweiser, tobacco companies were out there, big, huge. The sport was huge, right? And then it kind of take a hiatus where it got mix in the shuffle a little bit, I think, because NASCAR went boom. You know what I mean? And for us, we've been like the best kept secret. You know what I mean? We've always been like a second trending in motorsports in the U.S. behind NASCAR, and we're kind of been like NASCAR's like little brother or little sister. You get what
Right.
I mean? You know what I
Right.
mean? So, so now we're starting to see it, and then people are starting to see the value and the accessibility. For us, we don't have to try to diversify. We don't have to try and say, hey, you know what I mean? We got women, we got men, we've got people of all different ethnic backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, I would say. You get what I mean, too. And we never had to try to do that in NHRA. And for us, I believe what made our sport so unique, like what pulled me in when I was a kid, is that my dad and uncle were sportsman racers. And we go to every track, it was always very diverse. You had everybody and anybody drag racing. But to get to the level where I'm at, you know what I mean? It was just a little bit harder to get to that professional level, just like it is anywhere else. You know what I mean? You have to be the elite of the elite, and you got to put the work in, and you got to set yourself apart to get that opportunity. And for our sport, what did it for me was the all access. I think was what made our sport so unique. No other motorsports, no professional other sport gives you a GA ticket that allows you access into the locker room. Our sport does that. And
Yeah.
for me, I think that's what really drew me into this sport and I actually saw myself and say, I could be here one day because I saw how to be there. Where I saw the Big Daddy Darngarlets, the Shirley Modalities, the Kenny Bernsteins, the Perdomes, the Oswalds, the Candies, and and see all these people, the Dave Schultz and John Myers and stuff like that, and Byron Hines, a motorcycle, Bob Glidden's. Like I saw all the superstars of the sport when I was a kid, and I was like, man, I want to be there. I got to go up there, see how they worked on their cars, what they did in between rounds, and how they shuffled up to the staging lanes, went down the track and came back. When you get to see that behind, right up close and personal, that's when my mindset started ticking and going, this is my dream. How do I get there? And I say, this is how you get there. I got to be out and around it. And when the opportunity comes, I got to be ready to jump on it. And that's what the sport of Mission Food NHRA drag racing has done for me since I was a little kid.
But you almost had a different dream that involved speed, not the kind that had wheels, but well, your own set of wheels. You received an invitation in 1998 to the U.S. Olympic trials. I
you
mean,
know, like everybody gets like that story all there. I ran quick enough to participate in it, so that was that was the coolest thing for me where I was coming up and I had dreams and aspirations to be a motocross racer, and I got hurt. I got hurt pretty bad, and when I got hurt, it took me to a different level where I was just like, oh. And then I ran track in college and played a little basketball here and there and stuff like that through high school and played football. And I played every sport there was because I was always quick on my feet. So for me, I never forget my mom still got the clippings at her house. Uh, I was ranked number one in the country in junior college, Division One JUCO college. I was ranked number one in the whole country for the 55-meter indoor dash. And she says, son, you were number one in the country. You were in a 6.27 seconds in the 55 meters, which was fast back then. You know what I mean? These cats now, they run 60 meters and they're running 6.34, which is blazing fast. They're literally running 5 more meters and almost running what I ran in the 55 meters indoors. So, so lo and behold, I probably could run like a 6.4 back then in the 60 meters. But it's pretty fast to see all these things that through my lifespan that I was always a part of. But that just shows you my competitive nature, how hard I pushed, how hard I trained, how hard I work, and I've learned that at an early age that you can have anything you want in life as long as you put the effort and as long as you put the work and time in. If you want to be the best at something, All you got to do is put more time than other people, and you'll become that.
But there aren't a lot of drag racers coming out of Chesterfield, New Jersey.
No, no, but my family was out of Chesterfield, New Jersey. There's a lot of drag racers in New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The state is very densely populated. We had two big racetracks there, Englishtown, New Jersey, which was our summer nationals for NHRA, and you had ACO. And we had Maple Grove right across the way, about an hour away in Pennsylvania. So for me growing up, there was a lot of racers around us, and I was one of many. But the thing about it is that I never like to get beat, and I never forget my dad. This is a good story, Jason. And my dad and uncle had a practice tree, which is the starting line mechanism that we use to launch off the starting line with all the lights. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we had the first, like one of the first ones. There were a lot of money back then, okay? And we had it, and my dad's friends and uncle's friends that were bench racers, and they had drag race cars too. They will come over to the house and they'll use the practice tree, and they used to bet like $1 a time, like $1 a game. And I used to be in there. I was young, man. I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. And I used to practice on that tree all week long. And when they come over, I used to get my little change deal out, put it down, and line up against them. And they never wanted to race me no more. I used to take their money all the time. I used to take it all the time. And as I got older and I got in the car, people wanted to know why I was so good on the tree. It's because I was literally practicing the practice tree since I was a little kid. You know
Wow.
what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. You you're a pretty famous NFL star cousin in Troy Vincent, and he was starting. If I have the story right, he was starting an NHRA pro stock motorcycle team,
Yes.
and you had to make a decision,
Mm.
right? Whether it was
Yeah.
going to be Olympics or you were going to go where your heart was. You remember
Well,
that?
I remember I remember that like yesterday, where I had to make that decision where it was either I had a 2 year scholarship to almost any Division I college I wanted to go to, so I could continue my career and run track and field and do all the stuff that I want to do. But my dream, you got to remember, I got hurt real bad. It took me away from motocross racing. My dream was to race. You know what I mean? And that was my dream. You know what I mean? Was to race. And I was just like, man, I got 2 more years left of college, and now I finished my JUCO deal. I had my associate degree in business administration, and I was like, what do I want to do? I said, and I had a deal to train with Chris Carter, who was the head coach of LIU, uh, Long Island University up in New York. He actually just ran in the '96 Olympics, and he got a gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay team. He didn't run it individually. He was on the relay team, and he won a gold medal. And I was like, I get to train with him. I could train with Chris.
Hmm.
I could train with him. And then I said that would have been really, really good and awesome to do that. And then I was just like, man, what can I do? And that was a hard decision. But then I looked at Troy and it's like, man, I go talk to my mom about it. My mom goes, well, you do what you want to do, Bubby. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go racing. My dad was all in. He's a racing nut. Like he eats, sleeps, and breathes drag racing still to this day. Him and my uncle still bracket race. So
He was a club
so
racer, right? Your dad?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. They bracket race, like they sportsman race. So
Yep.
they race all the sportsman categories still to this day. And I was just like, man, what am I gonna do? And I decided to make that move and make that change. So that's where it all started.
The rest was history. Um, the shift to Top Fuel. Tell me a little bit about that. Getting into Top Fuel.
The ship to top fuel for me was just to like literally like it's something I always wanted to do, that I always dreamed about. And I was just like, man, how can I get there? And I was racing bikes for 10 years of racing pro stock motorcycles. It took me 7 years for somebody to finally give me a shot to do it.
An
It wasn't
overnight
something that
sensation
it
that took
wasn't something
7
that
years.
happened overnight.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't something that happened overnight. And then when I got the opportunity to do it, it was like I never forget. It was with Lee Beard, and he was the GM, and he's also was the crew chief of one of the teams at David Powers Racing. And me and him were talking in the airport one day. He goes, "Well, I'm gonna talk to David about it, Antron. This is what you want to do. I think you'll be great for the sport. You'll be great if we move up to the premier class." Because he just liked my he told me this is Lee's words. He told me he liked my work ethic because I raced motorcycles. He saw me in the shop early in the morning, and even when they left, I was still here working. I never stopped because I was all in. And he goes, with that, and he saw my eagerness to learn and my willingness to learn, that he said that I could be a great racer, a race top fuel driver one day. And he believed in that, and he thought that I, just the way I represented at the time, I was racing for the U.S. Army on pro stock motorcycle. I was representing one of the biggest organizations in the world, and he goes, "Man, you'll be great. We need to put you in a top fuel car. You need to be in top fuel or funny car. You need to be one of the elite categories in NHRA drag racing." And he goes, he goes, "You're already a star in sport, AB." He goes, "But you're going to be a big star in sport." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, I'm learning as I go and thinking about it. And I'm just like, man, it's like, you think I could do it? You know what I mean? Because you got to remember, I'm going from a motorcycle to a land rocket that travels over 330 plus miles an hour. And it's like that's a big deal. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going 200 miles an hour on two wheels, but going another 130 miles an hour, that's a whole different story. So I trusted in him, and I knew that it wasn't going to be from a lack of effort for me. So that's how it really took off for me. And the transition for me was it was very fast. A lot of people don't understand that, Jason. It happened for me very, very, very fast, where a lot of people do it in years. Okay. When the Whit Bazemore left the team, like it was a falling out deal. And I was in the wings where they were shopping me just to get a sponsor to start a third car. It was going to be a 3 car team. It was Hot Rod Fuller, Whit Bazemore, myself, and I was a prodigy in the making, like a just learning as we go. And they're going to search out sponsorship and market me out and put a car together. Well, lo and behold, Witt left the team, and David Baca was the intern driver for the last 2 races of the year. And then David goes, "Well, Antron, what do you think about Mako?" Like, "I'm fine with Mako, David. Like, what are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, I'm thinking about putting you in a Mako car next year." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I never even sat in the car yet." And sent me to Frank Hawley's drag racing school. I got my alcohol license in 6 runs, which is about 70 mile an hour slower than top fuel car. Then we went to Phoenix, Arizona. We were supposed to test in Gainesville, Florida, but that was a fail because we went down to test there for 2 days and the weather was so cold we couldn't even get down the racetrack. The car wouldn't even leave the starting line at all. It was like freezing cold. So so we just went the wrong week into Florida to test. And then the next time we could test was Phoenix, Arizona, which was 2 weeks before we race Pomona, the first race of the year that we have to show up at. I have no time. I don't have a top fuel license. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I got 16 laps, got my top fuel license, and lo and behold, we show up to, like, you talking about like rookie. I'm rookie. I mean, I literally lined up against a couple people in testing, but I knew how to race. I've been down the track. I knew how to the gains and stuff like that. I was mentally strong there. And then we go up to our first race of the year. We qualify number one. Fourth race in, we win it. So
Wow.
it was one of those fairy tale stories that you're like, wow, like your first race out, you qualify number one. 4 races in, you win. So it was pretty
Unbelievable
awesome.
story. Unbelievable story. Yeah, not exactly. Walk our listeners through what driving a 3,000 horsepower car for 3.5 seconds is like. Not just the 3.5 seconds, Antron, but the time leading up to it. Do you use visualization? When do you start thinking about the race?
Honestly, when the run starts for me, is when I put my helmet on. Once I put my helmet on, the switch goes out where Antron that smiles and waves at all the fans and sign autographs. You have to have a mode that you switch into your race mode. And when I switch to my race mode is when I'm in the back of my Sequoia being pulled to the starting line and we're in the staging lanes. And then when we got about 4 pair before I run, I put my head sock, put my helmet on, that whole mode goes down where you go in that mode where you focus and you think about everything that's going on. And then I literally go to right from there and I get sitting in my race car where I start feeling acclimated with my race car, where my mind goes blank, where I'm not thinking about what to do or how to do it. I'm purely like relying on my instinct and my reaction of what's going to happen in front of me because you can't plan out a run with a top fuel car. It's not like saying, hey, I'm going to turn one, I'm going to take this apex and I'm going to do this. The
Yep.
top fuel, you got to kind of like evolve with it going down the racetrack because you got to react to it because it's going to do everything but try to go straight. Like our cars are long and
Mhm.
they're made to go straight, but they do not go straight because you're trying to harness 12,000 horsepower to the racetrack. And literally, when I'm sitting in that car, I'm taking a breath in, breathing out, relaxing my mind, calming myself, and put myself in this poise state where I can jump and do what I need to do when it happens and react to it as quick as I can. You know what I mean? And once they strap me in tight, that's when everything starts. And when they strap me in tight, that's literally I'm the next pair to go up where they just tug my belts really tight where it feels like you can't breathe because you want to be that tight in a race car. And then when they roll up to the water burnout box, they fire the car up. And when you fire up, it fires some gas, and then you hear it go to nitro where it goes pop, 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 and it starts shaking the ground and the car's waving side to side. You know that you're in tempo because you're actually sitting in this thing and you're rocking left to right because that's the pulse of the motor going from one cylinder to this from one side to the other side. That's now you're part of the heartbeat of the race car. And as they give you that signal to roll through the water burnout box, you slowly let off the clutch pedal and you roll through. And when you stop on the gas pedal and you're only moving it a quarter of an inch, literally to the throttle stop, you're not going wide open, a quarter of an inch. That car jumps off the ground and you hear it go, wah, and you can feel the tires just peel, like, literally heating the tires up by it doing the burnout. And the car is just up there, just fluttering and floating through the water. And when you let off, you feel a chirp go, and it jerks forward. Then you ease it to a stop. And then right there, you're trimming your fuel pump, making sure the fuel level's right. You got the right fuel pressure and the fuel flow going to the engine. Then you actually put it in reverse and you back it up and you bring it to the start, back to the starting line, put it forward, and you roll forward just gently to the start line. You stop before you like the pre-stage bump up on the tree that activates you to go for you to take off the starting line. The crew chiefs are doing their thing on the car, and at that moment right there, that's when you know that's the quiet before the storm. That is the quiet before the storm, before you're about to let hell break loose when you hit the gas pedal. And and the crew chief will come and put their finger in front of your windshield and signal you forward for you to go forward. And when they do that, you know it's time to go to war. And once they do that, I literally go like this. I literally flap my shield down, my visor down, and I don't just put it down gently. I slap, I go bam. And that means I'm going to war. The battle's about to start. And you inch forward. You light the pre-stage bub up. And at that moment right there, that's when I take a deep breath through my nose, exhale through my mouth. Then I reach over and I turn the fuel pump wide open, let all the fuel get to the engine. I pump the brakes, take my foot off the clutch, and I'm holding the car back with the brake. And then I just do a couple bumps until I light the stage bulb up. And then once the other person's stage bulb's lit up, that tree will come down where you see three yellows. As soon as you see that three yellow, you let the handbrake go at the same time you mash the gas pedal. And when you do that, you're just dropping the hammer down. And that's when everything goes black for a split second. You literally look, you see the tree, it goes black. And when you hit the gas pedal, and all of a sudden, when you can pick your vision up, you're past the 60-foot clock cone. Like you already
Wow.
went 60 feet. In 0.8 of a second, you already went 60 feet and you're over 100 miles an hour.
You
And
just
that's when the
described,
run starts.
you just your description of all of this, Antron, is just poetic. It's just
Yeah.
poetic. No one's ever described anything like this before. It also prompted me to think, do you got to be a little bit crazy?
Yes. Yeah. I think that we're all not there sometimes, but I think that we're us as drivers, we are sane. The problem is that we get so caught up in the
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
that you don't have the time to think about being scared, if that makes sense. You get what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
It's kind of like a boxer back in the day when Mike Tyson was in his heyday. They wanted to take him out, but are they really sane going against a monster like that knocked people out in 30 seconds? You get what I mean? But
Yeah.
when they go in gladiator mode, they don't think that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't think it until you step on the gas pedal. Because when we step on the gas pedal, you just got hit by Tyson taking off the starting line. You know what I mean?
What does it do to your
So
body? What does it do to your body? I
it
mean,
literally, we go through the start line, we hit about 4 Gs when we leave the start line.
yeah.
But when we go, this is what makes a top fuel car and a funny car so much different than anything you've ever driven. That's not where we feel the max Gs. We feel the max Gs at 2.93 seconds at 660 feet. That's where our clutch goes one to one. Where our clutch goes one to one, the G meter goes off the chart. So imagine this, when we're doing 295 to 300 miles an hour, we pull more G's there than we did from 0 to 100. The
Wow.
car literally takes off harder again.
Amazing.
We literally pull over 6 G's when the clutch goes one to one at 300 miles an hour, and we pull 4 G's when it goes from 0 to 100.
How do you train for that kind of bodily punishment? I mean, F1 drivers train with weights on their heads to simulate G forces, and IndyCar drivers do too, right? But
Yeah,
how do you train for that kind of?
we train, like, for example, you train by doing it over and over again. You can do certain things to get you ready for it, but I train personally, like I do a lot of core fitness, like I'm in shape. I still do some of the things that I did when I was in college running track and field. Like I try to keep myself physically fit because you do put your body through a strain. And if you ever
Right.
see, you'll see people get out the end of the car. Like I got out the end of the car and talk to you like I'm talking to you right now. Calm, my hands ain't shaking. Well, some people that are not used to it, you'll see them get at the end of the racetrack. It goes through culture shock for them, where they're like they're talking like they're out of breath because it puts a lot of serious push on your on like all in your center part of your body, like in your core, in your abs, in your chest, and everything else like that. Because that's kind of where you feel at. It pushes you so hard and tight. Like our seatbelts are so tight where it puts bruise marks on you. You have an in-car camera, it compresses your body so much where the seatbelts get loose and you can see them flapping on people. And they're tied down where you see people jerking on them, jumping on top of you in the car, tying you down. That's how much it compresses your body in the car where they actually get loose and float on you.
Wow. What a description of all of it. A couple different things. John Force was recently in a pretty serious crash. Um, it prompted the thought of racing or safer barriers, which have been successful in lessening impacts and injuries in IndyCar and NASCAR at their events. Does drag racing need that kind of safer barrier system?
I think going down the road, I think all avenues need to be looked at. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you can always make something better for sure. I mean, I hit a wall, I hit an impact in 2013. I hit it when my car spun around and went in backwards and caused me severe, like I bruised my vertebrae, several vertebrae on my back. and I was messed up, and it actually messed my knee and everything up in that accident. You know what I mean? Where I hit backwards, where I had no give at all. So the most rigid part of the chassis, if I hit the front, it's made to crinkle up. Like we have different deals the way our cars are engineered, where we take blows in certain spots, but if you hit the right spot, it could be damaging and cause severe injuries to any driver that drives it. So I think it's always a way that we can look at different things and do different things. And I know our sport, we're always trying to move and push forward. But every time you do something different where accidents happen because you go through every fail safe that you had. You get what I mean? So for us, I think in the future, I think NHRA and us as like our pro organization, we have a racers organization too of owners uh, and drivers that we talk pretty much every week, where we're always pushing the envelope and trying to make our sport better and safer at the same time. And I think that down the road, as we work with different engineering companies and engineering people, we'll see what we come up above that. Because I think our walls could be built different and safer, but I think it needs to be a little bit different than what they use for NASCAR for our sport. That's the whole gist of it. Is like there's two different entities in what we do and how we do it, and we just need to figure out what's going to be the best for our sport. And I know they're working on that full steam ahead.
And your opinion is an important one because you're not only behind the wheel, but you also are a team owner. Tell me a little bit about the importance of that, about being a team owner.
Uh, for me, I think the important factor of it is to help keep our sport going. You know, we
Right.
have a lot of team owners that are out, like that are older, but we need newer team owners to actually pass the torch to go forward. You know what I mean? I've been in the sport now for over 20, like up to 26 years now, and I've driven for a mass of great team owners that I got to driven for that revolutionized the sport and got the sport where it's at. And I think all of us as drivers and people that's in this sport that are younger, is our turn to go to that next level and to carry the torch and bring it in and have a legacy for the next generation of drivers and future team owners to come into sport to help pave the way and help them be better too. And I think that's part of all of our duties to do that in motorsports. You know what I mean? It's no different. You, Jason, having your podcast like you have on Sirius XM is bringing the knowledge of the call culture to the masses. It's to educate people and to motivate people to be the best that they can be. And if we could do that for everybody, where would we all be at? And I think that's part of my give back of what I think I'm called to do, honestly.
Well, and your Accelerate
Mhm.
program is an important one because you have a desire, as you just said, to really preserve the future of the sport, paying it forward, right, Antron?
Yes, absolutely. And and for me, I see all the future in all these kids coming up in the grassroots level, like from junior dragsters, go karts, quarter midgets. You know what I mean? And I look at them, I'm like, I remember when I came up, I never had a place to go get information to help me. You know what I mean? From being a better driver or learning how to cater to partnerships or sponsorships or how to carry myself, how to speak, how to maintain a room and keep people's interest and keep their vision where you're headed at so you can actually talk to, learn the business side of it, how to collaborate and bring different people together to do B2B relationships. Like, and how to lay out a race car from start to finish. Like, how do you lay it out with partnerships and sponsorships and how you make it easily readable? How you put the right colors when you do a black and white photo that you can still see it. Like, all these little things, all these little nuggets that people never think about or don't know about. You know what I mean? And how to say the right things, how to conduct a conversation and get the things that you want out. You know what I mean? And get the stuff that you want to get out there for your partners. You know what I mean? Or what you want to get out there. And those are all things that people don't know and don't realize, or how much something's worth. How much is your time worth? How much is a sponsorship worth? Or you know what I mean? And these are things that you have to learn in social media platforms, learning all that stuff. So that's what our Accelerate program is all about, where it's a library with all the resources that we have to make ABM what it is that we could share with other race teams on different aspects, from a performance standpoint to a driving standpoint, a marketing standpoint, and a business standpoint. Like, we cover every area that we can help. And we have different deals that we can sell services, and we also have different deals that we help people too in partnerships and sponsorships for kids to be where they're at.
And you said kids, so let's talk about your kids. What's the level of involvement in racing?
I mean, all of them are in pretty deep. My son Anson is definitely in there full bore, and he's been at it since he's 8 years old. And my youngest son Atler's been racing since he was 6, but he just likes racing. He doesn't love racing, and and the cool part is my daughter's into racing, which she loves racing. So it's a family affair. So two of them are in it full time. The other one's a part-time racer, my youngest one, Adler. So you got Ariana, Anson, and Adler. And it's funny, like, you're actually looking behind me. You see Anson up on a wall right there. That's his claim to fame. That's his like first big car race that he won. Like, we won a race before that in a big car, but that's a $75,000 bracket race that he won last year. So he went 10 rounds of racing with over 400 cars entered, and he won. And
Wow.
he took out Sean Langdon, who's another Toyota driver that we race Top Fuel against, who's a really super duper bracket racer. Him and Sean met in the final, and it was pretty spectacular for Anson to pull that win off. And he's on his way, and we're just working with him and trying to push him forward.
The tradition continues
Yes, yes,
from
yes.
your dad to you to now them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to watch, and I actually have a lot more fun racing with them than me racing myself.
I bet you do. What does the future look like for you when racing is in the rear view mirror, and when do you anticipate that happening?
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of my career right now, honestly. I know there's some counterparts out there racing that's over 10 or 12 years older than me, so I don't
Yeah.
know how long I want to do it for. You know what I mean? Like, but I know for sure that I got at least another good 10 years left in me for sure. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
That's great.
I could honestly race for 15 if I wanted to. I know I got people that I race against right now that's 15 years older than me. So I could definitely do it to then. I'm going to do it until I feel I'm still competitive, and I can still win races, and I can win championships. But I don't want to do it just to do it. I want to do it because I love to do it. And when I feel that fire start dwindling down, I'm going to open up the seat to somebody else that has that fire and passion, that's young and hungry. You know what I mean? And my son Anson, I like he can race now. So once he gets done with school, I think I'm going to be racing against him in a top fuel car one day, father
Wow.
son duo.
That'd be
You know
cool.
what I mean? And I'm going to tell him I ain't going to share him no favor. I'm going to light him up. I tell him that all the time.
No favors given. No favors.
No, no, not at all, not at all. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be. I look forward to that day, one day where I can race against him, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is it the mental part that fades quicker than the physical part as a driver, or is it the physical part that suffers
I
more? Which
I
part diminishes more quickly?
I I think for me, the hardest part is the older you get. It's not the physical part for me because I stay in shape, and I'm probably more in shape than most of the young people that I race against. So
That's true.
so for me, the physical part, I'm still very very capable there, very very capable. The mental part for sure, but I think what happens is when you get older, what starts messing you up is that your brain starts thinking about way too much when you get older. Like,
Yeah, you have too many responsibilities.
you got to figure out how to turn everything off so you can do it. Like when you're younger, things are just simple. You just
Yeah,
do it. You get what
yeah.
I mean? Like, you don't think about doing it. Like, oh, there's a bridge. Let's just jump off it. That's what you do when you're young. When you're older, you're like, whoa, this is a bridge. This is a big bridge. Ooh, that water is deep. Ooh, it's far down there. You know what I mean? You start thinking like that when you get older. And you got to figure a way to turn that off because that is a disadvantage that you have when you get older, where you got to kind of block it out and get in that zone and try to unfocus and take all the nonsense out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. You are an inspiration for many. You've been super successful. I'm enormously humbled and honored to have you on this program. And I just wish you the best of luck. I say it before, you're like one of the fastest men on earth. I know the Paris Olympics is going on right now, and we could have watched you run the 100-meter, but we really love watching you race in a different way.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that very much, Jason. And I watch track and field still to this day, so I'm a huge fan of it. I love it, and I always watch it, man. I still got some legs, man. I can't run
Yeah,
that
I bet
fast,
you do.
but I guarantee if I train, I could still run the 10-second range somewhere. If I train hard enough, I still can get in the 10 still.
I think I think you'd be good in the 4x. Be the anchor leg or something like that, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you for being on the program. We wish you all the speed that you can possibly have going forward. Antron, what a pleasure to have you on the program.
Jason, anytime. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.